Good evening, professionals. In our ninth corporate law webinar series, we have been discussing about the provisions regarding labor code. We are going to conclude with the fourth provision, which is the code on wages. During the past few weeks, we have studied and understood the provisions of the three codes, the Industrial Relations Code to begin with, then the Code on Social Security, and till last week, we studied and analyzed the provisions regarding the Occupational Health, Safety and Working Conditions Code. Friends, while we have been discussing about this particular provisions as enunciated in this code, we have also tried to compare it with the erstwhile provisions and also with few case laws on the relevant subject, though they are part of the old provisions under the labor legislations. We all are aware that this particular attempt of labor code is more for consolidating various central and state labor legislations, more for ease of compliance, ease of doing business, and also for the benefit of both the establishment in the light of complying with various labor laws and for the regulator in monitoring and ensuring compliance with various provisions. With this brief introduction, let's get into today's presentation. Thanks to Aishwarya for this detailed presentation. Some of the legends used in today's presentation are the code, of course, refers to code on wages. And MWA, we are going to refer to the Minimum Wages Act. Friends, this particular code subsumes four important labor legislations. We are going to see in the next slide as to what are they, and one important provision which is getting repealed is MWA. Today we are going to see a brief outline of this code and no gender discrimination provided. You have three caveats. What are they? We are going to see. Then we are going to understand the provisions relating to minimum wages and when overtime wages are provided for these workers. And in the light of this subject, overtime wages, we are going to see one interesting case law held by Supreme Court. A brief overview of this particular code. We all are aware that all these four codes went to Lok Sabha and also passed by Rajya Sabha and received the President's assent. And it is imperative to note that this particular code was the first and foremost of all the four codes because this received the President's assent on 8 August 2019 itself. And the preamble of this code clearly draws reference, as the name implies, to consolidating and amending the laws regulating wages, bonus, and for matters which are connected therewith or incidental thereto. Friends, stop me if you have any queries on this subject. The subsumed provisions are none other than the four labor legislations: the Payment of Wages Act, Payment of Bonus Act, Equal Remuneration Act, and the MWA Act. What is the objective? If you see, in Payment of Wages Act, the applicability of employees who are drawing salary was made with reference to a specific statutory limit. We all are aware that 2017 notification clearly provided this particular statutory cutoff of 24,000 per month, and MWA, which makes it applicable to employees engaged in scheduled establishments. But this particular code is different from other labor legislations. Why? Because it is applicable to all employees irrespective of limits and sector specific. Friends, not only that, you have new concepts like floor wage which are introduced, and the wages. We were drawing reference to this particular wage definition under different legislations. For wages, for the purpose of Payment of Bonus Act was different. For the purpose of MWA was distinct, and for MWA or the Payment of Wages Act, we had one unique set of definition. But here, this brings us a single uniform definition of wages. Of course, the list is big, but we will see as to what this particular code refers to the definition of wages today. So today we will first see the definition segment, the general definitions. The various chapters, we have 9 chapters and we are going to split and read together and understand the important provisions in the light of comparing it with the erstwhile provisions of the labor legislations. Some of the important definitions for our reference are: advisory board refers to either CAB or SAB. SAB as constituted under section 42. And appropriate government, the definition is no way different from the other provisions in the other labor codes, where in relation to an establishment, it covers the central government, where the public sector undertakings as established under the Central Act or under the central PSUs are governed thereby. And it, in relation to any other establishment, this appropriate government refers to the state government. Employee, the definition is again wide. It includes skilled, semi-skilled, managerial, administrative, technical, clerical staff. Thus, the definition of employee is wider than the definition of worker, because here the definition also includes the managerial, administrative workers as well. The employer definition is exactly the same as we discussed in the IRC, the Industrial Relations Code. However, for this particular code reference, it draws reference to employees whether they are directly employed or indirectly employed, that is through any other person, like a contractor. When they are engaged, they are also employers for the purpose of these outsourced employees. And it also has an inclusive definition where in relation to a factory, the occupier of this factory will be construed as an employer. In relation to any other establishment, a person who under whose supervision, direction and guidance the company or its affairs are being carried out. The contractor, the example where we saw the outsourced employees. And of course, the legal representatives of the deceased employer. So establishment for this purpose includes industry, trade, business, manufacturing or occupation which is carried on, and includes government establishment. The definition is quite similar to your IRC. Same work or work of similar nature. We are going to see this particular definition getting applied in the case of your prohibition of gender discrimination, where this assumes significance that work in respect of the skill or the effort that they put in, or the responsibility which is cast on their shoulders, or the experience with which they have been engaged under similar working conditions in an establishment, and this particular skill, effort, experience and responsibility required for these employees of any gender are not of practical importance in relation to the terms and conditions of employment. So, what assumes significance are the four attributes: the skill, effort, experience and responsibility required for carrying out that particular activity. Wages. The wages definition, though it encompasses the provisions as provided in all the four labor legislations, your payment of wages, payment of bonus, equal remuneration and MWA, the list is huge. And it also requires worth mentioning here that it has three components, where the first component is the meaning, the second component is the inclusive definition, and the third component is exclusive definition. Friends, the employer shall be careful while he devises the salary structure. Why? Because this excluded component also assumes significance. That is the reason we have indicated it in blue, because all these excluded components, if the aggregate, the total sum of the excluded component is exceeding 50% of the total remuneration. Let's take one illustration to understand this better. The wages for a worker is 100, and the excluded segment itself constitutes 60 rupees in the form of HRA contribution for any such pension or provident fund or overtime allowance, all put together. The excluded segment from the wages definition, if that particular portion is exceeding 50% or such other sum which may be notified by the central government, then it shall be deemed as remuneration and shall accordingly be added in wages. So if the employer construes himself to be smart and devises the salary component in such a fashion that these components, the OTA, the overtime allowance, or your award or settlement remuneration, or your contribution to the pension fund is higher, which is 16 hour illustration, than the basic or dearness allowance, which forms part of your inclusive definition, then this segment shall also be added to your wages, is the message which is provided in this particular code on wages. And the inclusion comprises your basic pay, DA, retaining allowance, if any. Of course, the wage means all remuneration which are provided to the worker, which could be in the form of salary, allowance, or otherwise. For calculating this, any gratuity payable on termination of employment or any retrenchment compensation, all these are also provided and forming part of your inclusive and exclusive definition there. And for the purpose of equal wages to all genders and for making the payment of wages, the emoluments specified as indicated in asterisk mark shall be reckoned for the purpose of computation of wages, which means for reckoning the wages for all genders and for making the payment, these emoluments such as your HRA, bonus, the house accommodation, the perks, all these shall be taken for the purpose of wage. Worker. Here it is significant to note that the inclusive definition has working journalists and sales promotion employees as well to take care of their set of regulations as well. So the worker means any person who is employed to do any, again, skilled, unskilled, technical, operational activities in alignment to your employee definition. But this does not include people who are in Air Force, Army, or Navy, and those who are employed in police service or any other employee of a person, or those who are employed in managerial or administrative activity. Thus, the worker definition is of less scope as compared to employee, because let's go back to employee definition where it clearly includes your managerial or administrative staff as well. Hence, the component is wide, the scope is wide in the case of employee. This is what I would like to convey here. We are moving on to the next segment for today's session, which is the prohibition of discrimination on ground of gender. Very important, friends. We have also studied in our fundamental rights that on the grounds of gender, there shall not be any discrimination made. In alignment to the principle, this particular code draws clear provision that there shall not be any discrimination on the ground of gender with regard to wages when it is the same employer and it is for the same work. Thus, the definition of same work or similar nature assumes significance, or the work of similar nature done by the employee. And it also provides a caveat that the wages shall not be reduced because of according discrimination in the gender class. And with regard to the dispute on the same or similar nature of work pattern, it shall be decided by the authority as may be notified by the appropriate government. Next comes your minimum wages as provided in chapter 2. Fixation of minimum rate of wages for time work or for piece work. Even for piece work employees, the minimum rate of wages shall be fixed on time work basis. And the time work basis, it could be hourly basis, daily basis, or monthly basis. And the criteria for fixing the wages shall be depending on the segment of workers, whether they are skilled, unskilled, technical, clerical, managerial, or administrative staff, and also regarding their geographical segment where they are working. If they are working in Ladakh, then that cannot be equated with those who are working in Chennai. And the arduousness of work, like the humidity, the temperature, how hazardous operation it is. So all these dangerous operations or processes should also be certainly considered while fixing the minimum rate of wages. And there could be any other additional norms as may be prescribed. And we have to wait and watch as to what is going to be prescribed by the appropriate authority. Yeah, Jenna, this code is yet to be, because the central government has to provide us the date when these codes are going to be notified. So we have to wait as to when these provisions are going to be enforced. In a press release, it was clarified that all these will be given effect from December 2020, but that was an informal announcement and we have to wait for this particular code to be implemented. Hope I have clarified, Jenna. The components of minimum wages, the basic rate of wages, whether it is with or without that cost of living allowance, and it also includes the rate of basic wages, the cost of living. So the standard of living of each segment of employee, as mentioned earlier, the geographical pattern. If they are going to sit in Jammu and Kashmir, we know how difficult it is to work from there. So that will certainly be given a preferential treatment in the form of fixation of minimum wages. There, a person who is highly secured and sitting in Chennai cannot say that there is a differential treatment being provided. Cost of living allowance and the cash value of concessions in respect of supply of essential commodities at a concessional rate shall be computed by the authority as the appropriate government may by notification specify. And with regard to the fixation of wages, the committee could appoint and hold inquiries and recommend with regard to this either fixation or revision of wages. And the composition of this committee shall comprise again equal representation of employer and employee so that the employee's interest is well protected, and it shall also have the composition with the independent persons not exceeding 1/3 of the total members. And the notification shall be issued after considering the recommendations placed by the committee, and it shall be coming into force as specified in that particular notification which is issued in an official gazette or an expiry of 3 months from the date of issue. And this particular revision or the review of this particular fixation of the wage rate shall be at an interval not exceeding 5 years. This is a new concept, friends, for the attention of all the professionals. There is a fixation of floor wage. What is that floor wage? Here, determining the geographical area and also to take cognizance of the standard of living of the workers, a floor wage is being recommended to be fixed by the central government. And this floor wage is the benchmark. If suppose I am ex-employer, that floor wage is 100. And if I have determined my fixation of wages 80, then I have to match the gap and enhance the wages to reach the level of the floor wage, which is 100. And if I have already determined the wages to be 150, I should not be again reducing it to the floor wage. That is what the code says here. The minimum rate of wages shall not be less than the floor wage. If the minimum rate fixed by the appropriate government earlier is more than the floor wage, which means 150 was already the minimum rate fixed by the appropriate government, which is more than the floor wage, then the appropriate government shall not reduce and bring it down to 100. And central government may consult the CAB and the state government before fixing the floor wage. So central government shall in consultation with all these authorities determine the floor wage. Wages of employee whose wages are fixed on day basis works for less hours than the normal hours. Then he'll be entitled to receive wages in respect of work done on that day as if he has worked for the full day. Exceptions will be where it is purely attributable to the unwillingness of this particular worker, so related to his attitude, and not due to the omission of the employer to provide him or assign him with some work, or such other fit circumstances or cases as may be prescribed. Wages for 2 or more classes of work by an employee. If different minimum rate of wages is applicable, then the employer shall pay in respect of the time respectively occupied for each class of work, not less than the minimum rate in force for each class. For example, if he is going to be engaged in plantation, mining, agricultural activity, different set of classes, then The minimum rate for each plantation or mining activity that shall be certainly taken care, and it shall not be a summation of all. And minimum time wages for piecework, if a person is employed on piecework for which the minimum time rate and not a piece rate is fixed under the code, the employer shall certainly pay it in accordance with the time rate as may be provided. And fixation of hours of work for any normal working day, number of hours of work for a worker, and then interval of rest. We also discussed this in the previous code, which is our occupational health safety, to take care of the health of all these working segment, and also to provide payment for work on a day of rest at a rate not less than the overtime rate. And for certain class of employees, the above will apply to an extent and subject to such conditions as may be prescribed. And employment of an employee is essentially intermittent or casual in nature if it is declared by the appropriate government, depending on the daily hours of duty. And if there is no daily hours of duty, then the hours of duty normally include the period of inaction as well. Very important, wages for overtime work. Of course, this is lifted from your erstwhile provisions. So, overtime work, as the name implies, if you are going to work beyond the normal working hours as prescribed, then for every hour or part of an hour, the overtime wages, this particular worker will be entitled, which shall not be less than twice the normal rate of wages as provided in the code. In the light of this overtime wages, we are going to see one interesting case law. Here, the appellant was the Municipal Council Hatta, the respondent Bhagat Singh and others. The facts of this particular case are respondents were the employees of this particular municipal council had filed an application under section 22 of Minimum Wages Act 1948 for payment of overtime wages, stating that they had worked 4 hours extra than the normal working hours as set out in their employment charter. And it was represented before the competent authority, which was the Labour Court. The appellant filed a writ petition. This particular competent authority actually was in favor of this respondent, and hence the appellant, none other than the municipal council, again went to High Court. They made a writ petition, and that particular writ petition was dismissed. Aggrieved by this particular decision, this appellant, the municipal council, made an appeal to the Supreme Court. And the appellant filed a petition before this Honorable Supreme Court. And the facts of the case were deeply analyzed, and it was noted that this particular appellant was governed by the provisions of Madhya Pradesh Municipalities Act. And there was no provision under this particular Municipalities Act for payment of overtime allowance, point number 1. And the respondents, however, contended that they were entitled for overtime wages under 14 of MW Act. If you read section 14, the charging provision for making payment of overtime wages under the Minimum Wages Act, it clearly provides one condition, that you will be entitled to overtime wages only when you are governed by the provisions under MWA. Clear. But this particular important thumb rule was not adhered to in this particular case, because they were governed by a specific law, which is that Madhya Pradesh Municipalities Act. And thus Supreme Court took a decision that the MWA Act clearly says that the wages applicable to the respondents are 50 per month. But in this case, they were provided a slab of 70 to 80, 100 to 120, which clearly drew this particular conclusion that they were over and above the mark as specified in MWA. But the respondents were getting wages over and above the minimum wages prescribed under the specific provision. And more importantly, as mentioned earlier, section 14 says that overtime is applicable only for those workers who are provided wages under MWA. Here it is not under MWA Act, but they were governed by the Municipalities Act. And hence, in the present case, the respondents who wanted to make this particular contention that the overtime wages they were entitled to was quashed, because they were getting more than what was prescribed under this particular MWAA, and they were governed under the Madhya Pradesh Municipal Services Sales of Pay and Allowances rules. When you read that for provision, Supreme Court again analyzed that this particular rule clearly provides the principle for determination of salary, determination of wages, allowances of all these workers, and hence this particular application under section 22 of MWA is misconceived, and MWA, that minimum wages, does not apply in the instant case, and the appeal of this particular municipal council was thus allowed. Municipal council Hatta was thus allowed, and with order as to no cost, and the competent authority, order of the High Court, and that particular competent authority, which was none other than this labor court, was set aside by the Supreme Court. Friends, with this we are concluding Part 1 provision of the Code on Wages. We'll be continuing with the provisions in our next Wednesday webinar. Until then, take care, stay safe.